What is happening, guys? Welcome back. So in the last episode on the Polo, we got the Subaru Impreza coilovers mated up to the Mk2 Golf hubs, custom top mounts, and they're on the cart. We're still waiting for the parts to come to get the steering working, and we need to find the ball joint extenders still. But the wheels are basically on in the place they're going to be. So what we want to look at doing now is sorting these front arches out so that we can actually turn being low, and they need to match the rears, because the rears are squared off and stick out quite far, and the fronts are rounded, don't stick out very far, and don't match. So after a discussion with our friends at Heritage Parts Centre, we think we've come up with a solution, and that is these Mk2 Golf wings. So anyone that's followed the channel for any length of time will know that Heritage Parts Centre have sponsored us pretty much from the beginning. They came on board all the way back when we started doing the Mk2 Golf GTI restoration. I want to say a massive thank you to them for continuing to support the channel and sending me parts that make building cars like this possible. If you need anything for your classic Volkswagen or Porsche, don't forget to use the code CHAMBERS to get yourself 10% off your next order with Heritage Parts Centre. So, yeah, they've sent me a pair of Mk2 Golf wings. Now, these are huge, if you like. The amount that they stick out is a good, what, 40, 50 mil. So hopefully, looking at the wings that are on the car, that is going to give us a plenty of space for the wheel to turn. Now, I've had these for a few days, and my head's been going around as to what to do first and what the best thing is. And I think really the best thing to do is going to be send a grinder through this really nice looking wing to get the part off that we want, and then we can offer it onto the car and work out where we need to cut it on the car and where it's going to line up. So, I can't put it off any longer. Let's put a grinder through these brand new Mk2 Golf wings. Okay, so we've literally just cut it off, and I've just had a quick look, but I think they're going to look pretty good, matching the rear. Fronts are a little bit bigger than the rears, which you want for being able to turn. There's a hell of a lot of trimming going to have to go on. The Mk2 Golf arch, from feeling it and looking at it, is about 10 mil wider at the bottom, which I think if we get the top in the centre and we just sort of extend it 5 mil away, I don't think you really notice. But there's quite a lot going to have to go on, because you've got this little step in here that this hasn't got. You've got bits going on up the top that it hasn't got, and then a down here as well that it hasn't got. So I think we're just going to have to get it in the air, get the wheel off, because we know that it's going to give us basically the clearance that we want, that should allow us to turn the wheel at least a little bit. And we'll just have to start doing some trimming, trying to get it to fit. Good morning. So we got quite a bit done, as you saw in the time lapse that we did. We got that bit done and then went in, and I've just come back out and had a look at what we did yesterday, and I've got to say, I'm pretty pleased with the way these are turning out so far. So we've managed to get the arch welded on, and I think it all flows and looks quite well. We've managed to get the front blended in to the Polo bumper, and I think it all flows quite nicely. We've got the line here following through, and then following through at the back as well, and then round here on the back edge of the arch. We've had to cut this piece off, take a bit out of here and shorten this piece ever so slightly, but then we've managed to pull all this back in and sort of get a fade line in. Might need to do a little bit of hammer and dolly work on it to get it looking absolutely perfect. But I think they look pretty cool. And they now match in a bit better with the rears. Yeah, I'm well happy with them. The only problem so far, if you turn the wheel, it does catch. I think we're going to probably be a little bit higher on ride height, but it catches on there at hardly any lock at all. So I think we may have to still do the same that we did on the back, cut this through here and pull it a little bit more. But it's a good basis to start on to get, yeah, them sort of matching at the rears. So that's the driver's side ones on, and I think what I'm going to do now is get the passenger side one to the same stage as the driver's side one, so we've got reference points and we can try and get them the same both sides. And then we'll have a look. We might raise the ride height ever so slightly and then see if we can yeah, see what we need to do for turning, and then make some more modifications to the arches. But I'm going to get some banging tunes on the radio. We'll put the time lapse on and try and get the other side knocked out as well.
I want to tell you something new. You drove us both into a wall. I drive away into the night, and I contemplate for a while. Don't you think about it before the best? If I pack my stuff, I'll get sooner than this. Don't you think about it before the best? If I pack my stuff, I'll get sooner than this. Don't you wish I would have been someone else? I want to feel your gas without making a mess at you. I want you to tell me something new. I want to tell you something new. I wish you all the best I can, and I stop myself for a while. I'm saying things I don't believe. The panic's rising up in you. Won't you tell me something new? Don't you think about it before the best? If I pack my stuff, I'll get sooner than this. Don't you think about it before the best? If I pack my stuff, I'll get sooner than this. Don't you wish I would have been someone else? I want to feel your gas without making a mess at you. Won't you tell me something new? I want to tell you something new. You drove us both into a wall. I drive away into the night, and I contemplate for a while. Don't you think about it before the best? If I pack my stuff, I'll get sooner than this.
That wasn't actually as bad a job as I expected it to be. Yeah, they're on. And I got to say, I am pretty pleased with the way that we've managed to get them on. All the front, we've managed to blend that in nicely so that it flows in. We've managed to get the line back. It's not in exactly the right place from where I've ground it a bit, but we've got roughly in the right place, and we'll get it back in. It needs a bit of hammer and dolly work, and it obviously going to need a little bit of filler. And then we've got all of that back corner all reassembled back together. It's about 7 mil further back. The bottom of that arch is about 7 mil further back. Looks absolutely mega. Will look so good when it's rolling. So welcome back. We've had a few weeks off the car. I think it's been 6, 7, 8 weeks. I can't even remember anymore. Because we had a bit of a break because we were building the T5, getting all the interior done, sorted out, ready to go away. We've been and done that trip. I've been abroad. We've got more trips booked coming up. But it is now time to do a little bit back on the car and try and work out where I got to and what we did. So in the last clip, I was showing you around the Mk2 Golf arches that I had welded on to these front wings. One little point I want to make that I'm sure someone's going to spot and someone will say something with. That swage line there in the door didn't line up properly with that swage line there in the wing, so I need to address that, and I do need to sort that out and do something with it. I've made a few decisions on what we're doing with the project moving forward. So original plan was going to be we were going to remove all of this scuttle panel and delete everything and do all that lot. I've now decided I'm not going to do that. I want to leave that panel in. We're going to probably make a panel like we had on the Mk2 Golf, which I'll insert a photo here if I can find it. I've not found any on the market for these, but I'm going to hopefully try and make a panel myself. I think I'm just going to make it out of some black Foamex, to be honest. It's the cheapest option. We'll just have to weld some brackets to the bottom, weld some brackets up to here that it sits onto, and the seal will hold it in place, or at least that's the plan. At the moment, we're still going to go and shave the bay and get rid of things. We're going to use a top fill radiator to get rid of the header tank, tidy up the bay as much as we can. But yeah, we're not going to remove that panel, and we're not going to delete all of that lot and do a battery relocation things. I still want to leave it all where it is. So another decision I've made, in the last clip I was mentioned and I was talking about the potential of cutting these arches up that we've just welded on and making them even wider. I've decided we're not going to do that. I've decided we're going to leave the arches as they are because they look very, very, very nice, and I don't want to go creating a massive amount of work more trying to get these arches looking good again. The rears took such a long time. So what the decision I have made is we're going to be raising the car slightly from where it was in the last clip. Reason being, where it was in the last clip, the sump was about 1 inch off the floor. Now I'm all for rolling low, but this is a really long, really tall engine. We can't raise the engine at all because we've got to modify either this or modify the bonnet, because this, at the minute when you put the bonnet on, is pushed down and is very, very, very close to this sensor on top of the rocker cover. So we can't raise the engine. It's a really shallow front end. So yeah, I've made the decision that we're going to raise the car ever so slightly. What I am on with, yesterday I had a couple of hours after I'd finished tidying up. The Polo that we took the engine out of is sat there on axle stands. We've taken all of the bits off that we want off of it, and it's now full of all of the other scrap. Smashed the windows yesterday as well, which was pretty satisfying. So we can get the loader in, pick that up, chuck it on the pickup, take it to the scrapyard, get rid of it, and then we'll have all of this room for activities. What I did yesterday afternoon after we spent tidying up was we've started looking at getting the steering correct. So in previous episodes we've put the Subaru coilovers on, and I don't know if these have been discussed or not. Apologies if I'm covering ground that's already been discussed. We've got the plates on for the new steering arm. So on the Mk2 Golf hubs that are fitted to it, the steering's down here. Polo, the steering is up here. And what we've done is Jack from Dropworks has lasered us, or plasma cut, some 10mm steel plates that we're going to weld. They're tacked at the moment. We're going to weld them properly to this bottom collar, and we've got the insert out of the original. You can see that, my camera skills. The insert there, which is the proper taper insert, which we dissected an original strut for. I then put a bolt through it, which was the same size as a smaller hole, clamped it with a nut, put it in the drill, and used an angle grinder to turn it down. Ghetto lathe worked. That's gone in there. We've tacked that in place. But in doing that and moving the steering, basically these hubs and everything, bring the track width in a bit, and the way that the shocks are, we've got to shorten the steering arm. So I've got one in the vise here that I started on last night. We've cut this and we've taken 25mm out of it. We've put a piece of solid bar in the middle. I'm now going to drill 2 holes either side as well, like 8-9mm holes either side on both sides, and plug it and weld it and then grind it and clean it back. We'll get the other one off and do that one, and then the wheels should be towing out, which will mean that we've got enough movement to get the wheels towing straight or towing in ever so slightly on the adjustment. So let's throw the GoPro on, get those bits done. Yeah, and see what needs doing next, because there's a big list. I've got to take the engine out again. Right, I'm not sure how much of that film because I just tended to get in the zone and we just wanted to get it done. But you can see down there, silver metal. So each steering arm has been cut, a bar in the middle, welded back up together, and they are each 25mm shorter to give us a bit of play. That wheel, you can see now, that wheel is basically pointing straight, and that wheel now is basically pointing straight. Yeah, we're going to raise the ride height slightly as we've discussed. For the rear end, I've got another set of coilovers coming from Max Speeding rods, so we can use the bottom part of that coilover, which has got a through eye that will go into the rear beam, and then we'll make some top mounts for those coilovers as well to mount them on the top to give us a longer shock to be able to get the car sitting where it needs to and give it the suspension travel that it is going to need. But I think we should leave this one here then, guys. Next one, we've got loads of other stuff to be going on with, and I'm going to do that in a moment, but we'll leave this episode here. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It feels good to be back on with the Polo. I just want to get it done now. It's been sat in here for too long, and I've got an idea for a project after this that I really, really want to do, so we need to get this done and gone. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this one then, guys. Until next time, enjoy.